AFTV, DT. First of all, before I get into the game, how's your health? How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll tell you, it's not good watching Arsenal when you're not well, is it? It's oh my God, they don't make it easy. I would have been nice just to have had a comfortable 5-6-0 victory, and you just sat back.
Never gonna happen.
It's just never going to happen with us, and we have to put us through the ringer a little bit. But yeah, it's a massive victory at the end of the day. It's a big 3 points, and a place that we've notoriously done poor at. Given the season we're in at the moment, it was big in the context of things. Getting that victory on top of the Chelsea game was huge, because we've all made it pretty clear that the Chelsea result would have meant nothing if we didn't go and get the 3 points today. Not even 1 point would have been enough. So it was a completely different style of performance to the Chelsea game. It was very boring at times, should we say? Let's be real. It was very tough. It was very much a ground out result. And I feel a lot of those boys today kind of stepped up to become men. And I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you know, there's boys like Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe who I feel really stepped up today and look like experienced players. So that's testament to those, you know, in that sense. And you know, Mikel made a big decision with bringing Oba back into the side. I still think it was the right thing to do. He's our best striker. But when it wasn't working out, he made the substitution. A lot of people initially were like, Martinelli, even though he had a quiet game by his standards today, and instantaneous, 21 seconds, I believe it was. Lacazette goes and scores. So maybe being on the bench gave a bit of fire in the belly to Lacazette.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's just good to see firepower on the bench.
Yeah.
We've not really had that this season, but there's firepower. You know what I mean? Martinelli comes off. If you're a defender in Brighton's team, you're like, oh, bloody hell, Lacazette's coming on. You know what I mean? We ain't really had that a lot this season. No, all of a sudden, that bench is looking a bit more stronger, you know, and it's good to be having those arguments about should Aubameyang start, should Lacazette start, should be Martinelli. Those are the sort of conversations we want to be having.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to take everything one step at a time. It's baby steps. And I've said this already. We're in the position we're in, which is not 15th, finally, for once. It's nice to actually have moved away from that 15th place. But we've had a poor season. We've know all the problems that have been there. And we're trying to make the best of a bad situation. And, you know, slowly but surely, game by game, we've got to keep doing that. We've got to keep proving it. The manager's got to do the right things and make the right selections and substitutions and tactics and everything else. And so far, so good. 2 wins out of 2. We finished 2020 on a high. What has been a really difficult year on and off the pitch as a football club. We can at least say we sign off with 3 points. And that's the most important thing. And, you know, the January window is around the corner now. There's no doubt going to be 1,000,001 names mentioned, because everybody knows that we do need to strengthen. And it's going to be interesting to see what we do. But we need to now focus on the next game, which is West Brom. And they should be going into that all over the place after what Leeds United just done to them.
Yeah, 5-0 defeat. So you expect another. I mean, we would have expected it anyway because it's a Sam Allardyce team, but expect the low blocks to be back in action again. You know what I mean? At the weekend. But like you said, at least, I mean, the person who must be feeling the best right now is Mikel Arteta. You know, a couple of weeks ago, everybody's, you know, lots of talk about his job, his head. The board have stuck by him. And those 2 wins over the Christmas period, you know, after that Man City debacle. But, you know, I don't think, I always said, I didn't think that was an important game, really. It was the league games. Yeah. And get those 6 points out of those last 2 games, he must be feeling a lot better about himself. And the board are going to be feeling a lot better about him and giving him any money, like you said, to spend in January.
Yeah, well, what you've seen in the last 2 games, is that there's players on the pitch that are playing for the manager. And, you know, we've all heard the talk over the last month or so, how the dressing room split, how people ain't playing for him, they want him sacked, and all these kind of ludicrous, you know, accusations that are being thrown around by certain people. And what you have seen is that that's a load of rubbish. Because yes, there may be players there that, you know, don't get on with Mikel, may not want him there or whatever it might be, but they've not been involved in the last couple of games. Because every player that I've seen in the last 2 games especially are playing for this club, and they're playing for the manager. And even the ones that, you know, I still feel we need to replace, and we still need to move on to progress and go further. Let's not forget about that. There's players there that are not going to take us to that next level, and they've been a part of a problem over a number of years. But whilst they're here, what you can say in the last couple of games is that they are at least putting a shift in, and that's all you can ask for as a fan. You know, you might not be good enough in terms of your ability, but if that's the case, at least give 100%, because there's no, you know, no excuse not to give 100%. When you put the shirt on for the football club, you should be able to give 100%. There's no excuse in that. So that's the nice thing that I've liked and I've seen. And you know, like I said, today was very different to the Chelsea game. The tactics were very precise in the way that he wanted us to play. He obviously got them working at half time, because we came out a completely different side after the break. More on the front foot, more aggressive. The passing was quicker and crisper, and pulling Brighton all over the place after what was a very flat first half performance. But you know, we're in a tough position at the moment, and there's a lot of pressure on us, and we're going through a period in the year where it's notoriously difficult anyway. You're playing a couple of games within the space of 48 hours. You've seen all the teams at the top end. You've seen Chelsea struggle. You've seen Manchester United and Leicester struggle. I know Manchester United haven't played their second game yet. They're playing tonight, aren't they? But the game against Leicester, they dropped points there. Spurs, I think I mentioned, they've dropped points as well. And so, you know, all these sides are dropping points at the moment because it's a difficult period. So for us to come out of it, 2 wins out of 2 and 6 points out of 6, we've got to be happy with that. And we've got to now then move on to the next one, which is West Brom.
And, you know, what would your message be to people out there who have not, would your message be to people now that, because I know you've backed the manager even through the really, and it's still tough times because we're still in 30. You've been backing him even when, like, most people have been saying, right, nah, that's it. It's ridiculous now after the Burnley game, etc. What's your message to those fans?
To the ones that are genuine in their opinions and, you know, believe that Mikel wasn't the right man and were respectful about it, that's fine. You know, be behind the man and get behind him. And I know the majority of fans would love Mikel to prove them wrong. So, you know, my message to them is just to keep sticking with him, and he will turn it around. There's a certain section of the fan base, I've got no message, none at all. You know,
you are convinced, a bit like Pep Guardiola said the other day. He said sacking him would be a huge mistake. You're convinced that this is the guy.
Yeah, I am, because you know what, Robbie, we've been there, seen it, done it. We've been there a long time, and the problems under Arsene Wenger and how his reign ended and everything else. And we've had problems since them times, and we could keep going in a merry-go-round at the moment, and we could keep sacking managers. And at what point do you sit there and go, you know what, the players now need to start taking the blame? How long have these players been sheltered? How long have they been protected? How many years did Arsene Wenger used to protect players? All the time. Always used to protect players. Even when they were screwing him over and stabbing him in the back, they used to always be there. He was the forefront of everything, standing tall and beating down anything that would come towards their way. And then the same thing happened to Unai Emery. But the difference is that Unai didn't have that affection or the love from the fan base that Arsene Wenger did. because of everything he had achieved from the first years at the club and everything. So it was very easy to just, you know, turn on Emery in terms of looking at the players. And I suppose it was understandable because it was only the second manager that took over from Arsene. So it was all new to us. But then when you get to the point of you go through Freddie and then you're now into Mikel, and then you're starting to look at the same frailties and the same problems rear its ugly head on a regular basis, you've got to sit there and take stock for a second and say, hold on a minute. Can Mikel get the best or out of these players, or is there a system that I've seen him do that's made me say, yeah, there's something about it? And there is. I've seen a style of play in the way that Mikel can get us playing. That's why I will back him. Under Unai Emery, I always felt there was no real identity, apart from one game against Leicester at home in the at the Emirates where we were exceptional that day. And do you remember Ozil was majestic? Apart from that one real performance, I can't remember a real kind of identity about what we're about. Under the early stages under Mikel, I could identify myself to him, and I could identify him as the manager of this football club. There was an identity. I felt there was something there. And then he had to go away from it for a bit, and he had to try and shut up shop and everything else. And then all the problems started coming out again. And I wasn't going to back down from my beliefs. And, you know, people could call me deluded, and they were referencing me to Ty and all this kind of stuff. And listen, you keep joking all you want. I'm not going to back down. I believe in what I see from the manager, and I believe that given the right tools, he can take us a lot of places. Okay. And I'm really happy for him that he's got those 2 wins, and it takes a bit of that pressure off now. And hopefully the fan base going into 2021, this would be the one real message that I would say, is that have opinions, have debate, have difference of opinions, no issues at all. But let's all try and be as one moving forward as a club and try and sing from the same page. I know 99% of the fans do want to be like that. There's 1% I don't even want to speak about. Yeah, don't even get me started. No. Don't even get me started on them. But if there's one message that I can give going into 2021, it's let's back this manager. Let's back these players that are here at the moment. Let's see what we do in the January window. And, you know, let's not jump the gun dependent on who we sign, because you might not like the name, or it might not be this player or that player. Let's just take stock for a second, man. Let's just get behind these boys, and let's try and push ourselves up the league as far as we can and see what we can do this season before ultimately a huge, huge clear out in the summer.